¡Hey! ¡Vienen por acá! ¡Agacho! ¡Abajo! 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 ¡Abajo!
On October 17th, 2019, Culiacan, the capital of the Mexican state of Sinaloa, was on fire. Cars were set ablaze in the streets, helicopters circled the skies, and gunshots exploded throughout the city. 7 people lost their lives in what later became known as the Battle of Culiacan, fought between the Mexican National Guard and the Sinaloa cartel. In a bid to capture the son of incarcerated cartel boss El Chapo Guzman, the Mexican National Guard had launched a surprise operation. The response from the Sinaloa cartel's combat wing was swift. For 5 hours, 700 cartel soldiers attacked civilian, military and government targets around the city, took 8 Mexican servicemen hostage and formed a perimeter around the house until Ovidio Guzman was released.
No puede valer más la captura de un delincuente que las vidas.
But the result was clear. In an armed confrontation, the Sinaloa cartel had defeated the Mexican military. The firepower that won that battle is acquired beyond Mexico's borders. Indeed, an estimated 70% of the guns owned illegally in Mexico come from the United States, the world's largest market for firearms. Seeking to stop that flow of weapons into the hands of the cartels, the Mexican government is taking the US firearms companies to court. The US-Mexico border, running 3,000 kilometers from California to Texas. Hundreds of thousands of people move back and forth along this international frontier on a daily basis. And for Mexican organized crime, it's not only narcotics that flow across the border. David Saucedo is a Mexican security analyst who has watched the evolution of arms trafficking into Mexico.
Los cárteles mexicanos, en sus embarques hacia Estados Unidos, pues drogas. ¿Qué es lo que viene de regreso? Armas y efectivo. Entonces es muy sencillo pasar las armas. No pueden detener a todo el cargamento, están perfectamente camuflajeados por los trailers, incluso los vehículos que utilizan los turistas. Las armas, los fusiles de asalto son desarmados y después armados aquí en México.
Indeed, the Mexican authorities estimate that at least 500,000 firearms are trafficked illegally from the US into Mexico every year. And the power of the weapons is increasing.
Está cambiando el tipo de armas que están adquiriendo los narcotraficantes. Hace algunos años, hace 10 años, lo único que había era fusiles de asalto. Ahorita ya tienen rifles de alta cadencia cíclica, como el Barrett, de calibre 50.
This is a Barrett .50 caliber rifle, one of the most powerful weapons available to private citizens in the United States. It's also one of the most commonly trafficked into Mexico. It has been seen in numerous videos taken by citizens in Mexico of shootouts. It is a weapon which will pierce armored cars and one which is in the hands of the drug cartels in Mexico.
¿Qué se busca con esta demanda? ¿A dónde quiere llegar México? ¿Cuál es el objetivo?
And in late 2021, the Mexican government announced it was suing the US firearms manufacturers and distributors for business practices which they say encourage this illicit trade. Alejandro Celorio is the legal advisor to the Mexican government in this case.
This is a tort law case where the government of Mexico claims that the actions, negligent and illicit, of these US companies cause harm to the government of Mexico. These guns that are trafficked illicitly from the US cause harm and generate armed violence by arming criminal organizations and individuals that otherwise shouldn't have those guns.
While the case made headlines around the world, even winning Mexico's foreign minister the 2021 Arms Control Person of the Year award from a US gun control NGO, the government insists this is not about challenging the Second Amendment.
Actually, the defendants will try to say that this lawsuit is a direct attack against US constitutional rights, when actually this lawsuit is about business practices. We're saying that their negligent and illicit actions facilitate actively the illicit trafficking of their product. That's different.
The Mexican government also complains that the arms companies have encouraged cross-border arms trafficking, and that the common use of straw man purchasers, or those who buy firearms illegally on behalf of others, is not tackled strongly enough.
What is the negligent actions that we're complaining against? These companies, knowing that their products are used by criminals in Mexico, do nothing to monitor their distribution chain. There's thousands of gun stores in the US-Mexico border. Well, those stores sell to straw purchasers and to people that arrive and say, I want 5 AK-47s or 10 Barrett 50. Okay, here you go. Money, there you go, the guns. Nothing else. This is about how you run your business and how you should be more responsible and more careful that your product doesn't end in the wrong hands.
Of the 30,000 plus homicides Mexico has seen annually over the past 5 years, 69% are committed with illegal firearms. And the Mexican government wants damages that amount to the harm it says American guns have done to the country's economy.
We claim that the harm caused against the government of Mexico could be in the order between 5 and 10% of our GDP.
Filed in a Boston, Massachusetts federal court, it's a lawsuit which, if it goes Mexico's way, could result in damages costing the US firearms industry $100 billion. In response to the arguments presented by the Mexican government, the US firearms manufacturers responded. The National Shooting Sports Foundation, the main US firearms trade association, called the allegations baseless. Despite repeated requests by CGTN, the NSSF declined to comment further. Rick Briscoe is the legislative director of Open Carry Texas, a pro-firearms lobbying group which has followed the case's progress through the courts.
I do not believe there is merit to the lawsuit. I don't think the Mexican government has standing to complain about the business practices that are regulated by the United States government.
Indeed, the responsibility of the firearms companies after a weapon is sold will be a key point of argument in the case.
No manufacturer, to my knowledge, is engaged or desires that their products be shipped illegally anywhere. They are engaged in a lawful business, very highly regulated business, and they go to great lengths to ensure that they comply with federal and state laws. And if someone misuses a product, it's no longer their responsibility.
The argument that the responsibility of a manufacturer or distributor ends when they sell it is flawed, because they know that their product is used to hurt people. And how do they know? There's government reports, US government reports, international organization reports, Mexican, of course, reports. There's media, there's even TV series that shows that their guns are used in Mexico.
Another key argument will be Mexico's control of its own borders.
Está muy bien dar la pelea jurídica en los Estados Unidos para establecer controles a la producción y a la comercialización de armas, pero si no hace nada el gobierno mexicano para mejorar los controles fronterizos, pues aunque la legislación se endurezca, pues vamos a seguir teniendo el flujo de armas hacia los carteles mexicanos.
Moving guns across the international border is a simple task. From the south of the United States, firearms are very easily trafficked across the border south into Mexico. As we move into Mexico, our passports are not checked, nor is our vehicle subjected to any search. And this has been the case every time we have crossed this international border moving south. And moving into Mexico is as simple as that. And it's this ease with which people can move south into this country, which is going to be a major point of argument for the defendants, the firearms companies, in this court case.
Rumor has it some of the cartels may even have some tanks now. Being a law enforcement officer in Mexico is no small thing. Perhaps they should focus more on enforcing their laws within their jurisdiction.
What Mexico wants from this case, in addition to financial damages, is a change to US firearms commercial practices.
They should modify their marketing practices in the way they know that their products end in Mexico. For example, Colt. Colt design and sell Super 38 with Aztec symbols or designs that are clearly appealing to criminal organizations. You have a gun that is named Jefe de Jefes. That's the kind of changes that they should do to stop a market of users in Mexico that shouldn't exist.
Texas and the Southwest has a long history of Hispanic culture, and it's a part of our nature. And Spanish is very commonly spoken throughout Texas and the Southwest. So Hispanic culture is a part of our heritage, even if you're not ethnically Hispanic.
And when it comes to changing the laws, what chance does a foreign country have when US gun control lawmakers have had little success? Louis Witchers is from Texas Gun Sense, an organisation that pressures for stricter gun control measures. But coming up against the gun industry lobby has left him frustrated.
They're extremely influential and powerful, okay? Because they maintain personal relationships with legislators, governors. They are also well funded. Part of their effectiveness isn't always the money. They know if they send out a call to contact your legislator to oppose or be in favor of such and such bill, they will call. And that has an influence.
And aside from the multi-billion-dollar industry and its powerful lobby, tightening commercial laws means coming up against a deep-rooted firearms culture across the country. 22-year-old Diego Sanchez from San Antonio owns 8 different firearms and spends his free time at the firing range with his friends, all of whom enjoy the activity.
When you have the gun, you feel powerful. You know, you feel like you have something that can stop someone or stop an animal or something. We love owning guns. There's more guns in Texas than the population of Texas.
For aficionados like Diego, Mexico's lawsuit won't go far.
I don't think it will happen. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, especially with the amount of people that are going to be upset about it, especially here in Texas and in other states where it's pro-gun. Yes, they can try to force the United States to make more stricter laws, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
The use of firearms, both for hunting, self-defense, and so on, is a long-standing part of how America came to be. And we hold very, very closely to the right to bear arms, not just for self-defense, but if need be, in defense of the state. That's an important matter to us.
In a court case that strikes at the very heart of a US national guns debate, both sides will be watching carefully. And despite the challenges, the Mexican government remains confident it will get its day in court.
I feel very confident, not only because we have the legal arguments, but we have the moral ground to say, you need to stop what you're doing because you're benefiting.
For Mexico, there's a lot on the line. With murder rates climbing year on year alongside the movement of firearms into the hands of organised crime, The situation threatens the Mexican state itself.
La capacidad que tienen los narcos para enfrentar y derrotar al Estado mexicano son impresionantes. Hay una sofisticación por parte de los carteles de la droga, empiezan a adquirir misiles tierra-aire, misiles con detección de calor, es decir, misiles que solo incluso en ocasiones solo tiene el gobierno de los Estados Unidos.
And as the cartels begin to outpower even the military, as was displayed in 2019's Battle of Culiacan, the danger of Mexico's next civil war breaking out is huge.
Si se mantiene este cerco de persecución en contra de los hijos del Chapo Guzmán, en algún momento ellos van a responder de la misma manera, atentando contra el primer círculo de la élite política del país que está decretando estas órdenes de aprehensión en su contra. Entonces, enfrentar a un enemigo que tiene los hombres, las armas, el dinero y las agallas para enfrentar al gobierno mexicano, pues es un reto muy difícil de sobrellevar.